Welcome to the Red Pig Inn here this afternoon as we talk about Putnam County baseball with the coaches of the Putnam County League and Darren Henry from Lipsick, Dusty Pisa from Miller City that let him in the door, Matt Dubay from Fort Jennings, Ty Wanamaker from Audubon, Chad Ernsberger from Kalida who just left to go somewhere. Braden Sauter will be here via telephone from a night ago. Abe Escamilla we'll talk to in a second to talk about PG, Jordan Stryker from Continental, and Nick Watkins from OG, who, by the way, was the last guy in the door, despite the fact that he's statistically the closest, given that OG's right down the street. But we'll start with Abe. I live in Findlay. I could have just picked you up on the way. It doesn't work. We'll talk to him in a second, but we'll start with Abe because apparently he's in demand and he's got things to do today. Is that how that goes?
Yeah, that is how it goes.
You've got an interesting team. I mean, you come back, you look at what you guys did last year, and you go 6-17 in your first year at PG. When you kind of look at that, how was that transition process for you? I know coming back, you obviously know PG very well, but you come back and you're able to now lead that program that you care so much about.
Yeah, coming back, we had some pitching that we expected to have back, and I lost my one right off before the season started, and then I lost my two to injury. We went into the season with, I think, like 2.5 innings of varsity experience, and it was one of those things where it was just a grow and learn and add and just have these kids play baseball and just continue to get better. We got better as the season went on, and is one of those things where it's always great to come back to your alma mater and coach and try and make a better place and, just try and improve the baseball as much as you can as we move forward. So it was fun coming back and new experience, and now we're getting to a point where we're teaching a little bit more than what, probably a lot of the stuff that we had learned in the past from that aspect of it. And the boys have responded well. We're getting better, and we got more pitching coming back this year, and we're hoping that helps us out.
Was it different for you coming in, being the third coach in 3 years for that team, of getting them to buy in, or was it because, hey, I'm from here, I care about this team, I can make this work, you guys just need to buy in?
No, I mean, to me it was just about coaching, just coming in and getting the kids to buy in a little bit, but it was more about coaching and just getting the boys on a routine and allowing them to get to do things that maybe they weren't accustomed to, maybe they weren't used to doing, and just teaching them. And I think, as the season progressed, they saw a little bit of improvement, and they saw more of what we were doing was paying off, and it worked. And, and then you get to work with, a few summers ago, I got to work with Chad, and, I was learning from him.
How did that set you back?
Oh, I mean, mentally maybe a little bit, but, physically the stuff that he teaches
there was some therapy.
Really good. Yeah. But, and just some of the things I learned from him, and, being able to use some of that, and it was
See, I got to get him before he goes on, because he's going to talk for a while and say some things, so you got to get him early.
But, yeah, other than that, I mean, it was just about the kids actually, like you said, buying into what we were trying to teach, and that paid off toward the end of the season. We got better, and we're, like I said, we're hoping for better results here. Playing in this Putnam County League, it's probably one of the best leagues, I think, in the state of Ohio, baseball-wise. There's a lot of talent in this league, and everybody has good pitching in this league, and it's something you got to deal with. So.
Well, it's kind of funny you say that way, because Dusty said, do you think everybody's going to say we're going to be better than we were last year?
I would hope that we would all want to be better than what we were last year. So, but for us, that is the goal. We're going to just go one game at a time and just move on from there. So,
you talk about your pitching at Cam Team, and you talked about being your number one last year. He goes 1-2, has an ERA at 1.75, but kind of a limited thing in terms of being your fourth innings pitch guy. What's the jump from last year to this year?
He's gotten physically stronger. He's throwing harder. Mentally, he's bought in. Last year, I think he was one of those boys who was kind of on the fence of wasn't sure, having a new coach and whatnot, but he's bought in to the system. He's been working close with my coach, Coach Woods, has been working with him, teaching him some stuff that he knows, and just physically hitting the weight room, and he's gotten stronger, and he's, like I said, throwing harder. His confidence is a little bit more. His knee is surgically repaired knee is 100%, so that's key, and he's gonna be very, very good when he's on. He's a very good pitcher, and we've seen that already this spring where he's come out and he's also taken the role of a leadership role where he's helping teach some of the young kids now. So, and that was something that maybe he was lacking last year, but it's something that's growth on his part, and he's doing a tremendous job. So,
helps you get to bring back two PCL picks and Isaac Stahl and Jake Mag, kind of put those three pieces together.
And Jake Mag as well. He's another one of my pitchers. He doesn't throw nearly as hard as what Cam does, but his off speed is just absolute filth. We had a college coach looking at Cam, and he said that the stuff that he saw from Jake his off speed stuff is just unreal for him to be able to do that. But
that's all for you guys.
It's something that he's going to build off, and like I said, he's the leader of the team. He's my 3-year letter winner. He's coming back. This will be his 4th year, and he's going to be somebody who I think is going to be a solid number 2, and he can help us out, and he's going to win a lot of games for us. So,
all these guys obviously throw batting practice. Is there a guy that you could probably hit pretty far off of at the table?
At the table, I would say Dusty maybe.
He said he could take your yard if you were throwing in batting practice. Conversely, which one of them would be the easiest to strike out?
I'm not going to go there because I don't want to hurt any feelings.
Yeah. Go ahead. No, it's muted right now.
Good, he says. But
he's saying things away from the microphone.
These guys are all great. I've known a lot of them for a while now, and they're good guys, and it's fun that you can mess around and joke around like this. And we know, but once you get inside the lines, it's game on. So
even Matt DeBay.
Yeah, even Matt DeBay.
He's just here to talk about cricket, apparently, in the last part of the show. Because he's not here, I told him we're going to you got anything you'd like to say about Braden at Grove?
I'm sorry.
About Braden at Grove, because he's not here?
No, not at all. He's got a good team, and he's going to be one of the teams to beat in the league. So he's an all right guy. So I'll leave it at that.
Is it more parity this year?
You look around the league, I think everybody's grown. Everybody had a younger class from what I've seen last year. You got Fort Jennings. They've got the young kids that were doing well. They're going to be now a year experience. Chad's the same way. He's got Bus and them guys coming back after having a great year last year. And, Dusty's got,
Dusty says they'll be okay.
I'd say a lot of the pitchers that are coming back were all younger kids. So, they're all going to be that much better, I believe, and that's what's going to make it so fun to compete in this league is going to be that, that you have to bring your best every day. Otherwise, the score ends up 20-0 real fast. So,
which you were on both sides of those last year.
Yeah. We were, and that's something that I told the boys that you have to learn from that. Those games that you have like that, those games should stick in your head and want to come back the following year and play a little bit better and try and just learn from those mistakes of last year and go from there. Going into last season, I was starting 6 sophomores, 2 freshmen, and a senior for most of my season. So we were very young, very inexperienced, and I thought some of those games we held our own a little bit, and some of them we just got on the wrong side of it, and that was the end of it. So,
anything about your team this year that people might not know that will by the end of it?
I believe they're a little bit grittier this year. They understand that they want to win. They want to be better. They want to be. They want to play baseball. They understand because I've been drilling it into their head that they can't just show up to a game in this league and think that they're going to play well. They have to do what they need to do. They have to get the outs that they need to get, and it's just make the easy routine plays and move on and get to the end of the game within a run or two and see what happens. And so these kids they're a little bit better off this year than what we were last year, I believe. Mentally wise, they're prepared to be a better team. And me and Coach Woods have been instilling that into them, and it's all about being competitive. And I read a quote one time earlier in the season that I read to the boys. It came from Michael Jordan. It's not about competing against others. It's about competing about the ability that you have inside of you. Competing with that person, with that instead of the other person. And if you can get the best out of yourself, you have nothing really.
If Michael Jordan, though, is betting on himself.
And it's,
quite literally, I'm sure he would bet in a game against himself.
Yeah. Yeah. So, it's just one of those things where we try and get the kids to buy into certain things and just believe in themselves, really. We all know, we can all sit here and say that PG for the last 20 years hasn't had a winning record because of different things. And Coach Woods and I are looking to change that this year and make a better run at things. So that's pretty much it.
That's pretty good. Now, let's see. Who wants to go next? No, nobody? We'll go for you. Yeah, if any one of you guys want to go next. We can do it however you want. That's kind of what I figured, honestly. I actually believe I was going to go to you anyways. So that's we'll talk about Fort Jennings baseball now. Why? Because Jeff Swick's not here. We settled for Matt DeBay.
You told me not to bring him.
He said he was busy. Something about it's like an extension. Something about his kid getting an award or something.
I think is there
district
basketball?
Yeah. He cares about. He doesn't care about you yet. He doesn't have time for you.
Fair enough.
Already 10 years now. You're 6-4 Jennings. You've got you lose obviously a tremendous piece in John Grody, who ends up hitting almost 400, and at times I laugh because he's going to come through that monster one-handed swing.
Yeah.
And either you're going to end up laughing in the dugout or he's going to end up hitting a ball very far.
Yeah.
Did you ever have a conversation with him of maybe we level that off, or did you just eventually, you're hitting 391, just let it go?
No. Our conversations were always swinging as hard as you can. I'm not about, and I have never been about, and Mike, I'm never about making soft contact. We try to hit the ball as hard as we can and do damage.
Yeah, you and Rob Manford are all about exit velocity.
It is. It's hit the ball as hard as you can. John was that kind of guy, and it worked for him. He's a big old kid and hit the ball far, do damage, and it worked for him.
True, and then you've got guys on the other side, Carson Gilchrist, who they wouldn't necessarily measure up in stature, but he hits the ball hard, almost 275. You get Jake Weiger back and Jaron Swick back right at the top of your returning players this year. 7-11 last year, kind of an oddity. You guys had the same thing that Ty had in that you had so many games that got canceled. That by itself has to be maddening that you guys had almost half a season canceled.
Right, and a lot of games where I think we would have been competitive in, if not came out on top. But that is what it is. Baseball in Northwest Ohio is truly a winter sport. I think baseball, track, softball, all our spring sports that we play outside are winter sports. And looking at the TV over there, it looks like we've got some more winter weather heading our way, and scrimmages next week might be in jeopardy, things like that. It's what we do. I remember, like you said, it's, 10, 11, whatever it's been. I remember playing a game when I was coaching at Pandora with icicles hanging off my hat. It's what we do here, and so if we lose games because of weather, it is what it is.
They don't go on the record, though, so that's a plus.
Well, who's looking at record?
I have all of them right here.
You don't have to say mine.
I actually have them in order. But it kind of an odd thing. You guys middle of the pack last year, 3-4 in the league. The same thing of a couple of games that you lost that you were in. With knowing that the old thing is you have to go to work every day against guys. I feel like it's a pretty smart dais here. That they know baseball pretty well. Do you know that when you're in kind of those league games that, all right, we're really going to have to be good today, and I'm going to have to be pretty smart?
obviously. I think to touch on what Abe said, when we compete in the PCL, you're competing against. I don't want them to hear it, but you're competing against really good.
They're not
coaches.
listening.
No, they're not. They don't listen to me anyway.
They got free food. It's fine.
Oh, we're on.
Dusty's on camera, so he's watching himself. Yeah.
When you look around this table, there are guys with a lot of coaching experience, a lot of wins around this table. I'm lucky to have been a part of this for a long time, and so when you talk about records, there's a lot in the right hand side of mine, and it's a lot of these guys showing me what this game is about, and so it's a little easier pill to swallow when it's guys like Darren Henry and Dusty Peaster and
checks in the mail,
Chad and those guys that are, they're good coaches with good baseball teams, and so when we compete on Tuesday nights. You're competing against good teams and good ball players. So definitely, to answer your question, yeah, you got to bring your A game.
Well, it's kind of the same thing we talked about a couple of years ago, where that because of the way the league sets out, you're always going to get there one. Mm-hmm. And Brandon, a couple of years ago, I remember we talked about specifically about his career record, and then we said, well, break that down and look, at who he was pitching against, the Kalida kids, the Miller City kids, and Lipstick kids of, he got their number one. Now go look at their records. They were all pretty good.
Yeah, and it's the same for all of their guys too. And it's just a testament to how good a baseball there is in this area. Northwest Ohio is a great place to watch baseball, and high school baseball in particular. And Putnam County League is one of those hotbeds for good pitching.
If the season sets up how it's supposed to, and Mother Nature chills out. You guys open with 2 games on the road before you play 1 of 2 against Audubon. Where are you at going in 2 weeks before the season?
Where right now?
How do you feel you are 2 weeks before the season?
I'm sure we're just where everybody else is.
Nick doesn't have a team 2 weeks before the season.
No. I think weeks. Yeah, I was going to say
some pretty good ones.
He's probably got. Twice as many kids still as we do in this game.
He's got Carter. He's all right.
But I think we're in a good spot. I mean, we're still finding, all our arms and conditioning and all that kind of stuff that everybody else is right now. Just, trying to maximize opportunities in the gym, and when you can get outside, take those times you can get outside and go. And we have. I think all of us were able to get outside that first day. I can't remember the last time in my coaching career. That I was able to get out on opening day of practice outside. We went outside and got on the park field, and have been out a couple times since then. So, you're just trying to maximize those times and get the guys conditioned to be outside. We're supposed to have a scrimmage on Wednesday, fingers crossed, and we'll see where we set. I think I'm where we should be at this point. February 12th, right? Or March 12th. Sorry, I just turned back the clock. Well, they're all running together, Mike. They're all running together.
Yeah, that's probably not going to work. I mean, at times you guys could pretty much just take boats out on your field and just have the guys get their rowing practice.
We don't talk about that.
Have you thought about that, of just being the Fort Jennings rowing coach?
We were flooded already.
Maybe it's you.
Maybe
because come to think of it, like Abe just said, I mean, you had that down the hill at Pandora, and now you have it at Fort Jennings.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just you, just follow you around.
Hopefully we'll have that new field in next year. That's the plan. We'll have that new facility up at the school next year.
It's 44 and sunny on Wednesday.
I know, right? We're supposed to go over to LCC for that, so hopefully we'll get that in. I keep peering up at what they're saying the next 2 days are going to bring. It's just, will it dry out? And does John have enough and want to use John Schneiders over there at LCC? Does he have enough field dry to use and want to use one for?
Does he want to use it for you?
Right.
Which I think is a bigger question than maybe the other part of it. Last handful of years, obviously you guys have had a staff that does not have a lot of changeover.
Right.
What does that say? I mean, you've got 2 guys who, and yourself, who you have kids coming up through the program, of being able to have that steady force and being able to separate between getting mad at dad and getting mad at the coach. Maybe I should ask your son that question.
Right. I was thinking the same thing. Maybe you should ask.
But to be fair,
both
I've seen you scream at him the same way you scream at the rest of the kids.
Oh yeah. I don't yell. What do you mean scream? I don't yell ever.
Gently remind.
Yeah, coach emphatically. No, I actually, it's funny you say that because now I've got 2 on the team and Matt has 2, and Jeff has 1. So we have 5 children.
Well, yeah, one extra Jeff is enough.
I know, right? No, they have done a great job, the boys that is, of distinguishing between dad and coach for all of us. And that's just been because it's been that way since they were 5 years old. They also have dad as a soccer coach too. So
All right, that just sounds terrible.
I know.
What do you know about soccer, actually?
Nothing.
Okay.
Nothing.
I kind of figured that was probably going to be the answer.
Close your eyes and figure it out.
Just kick the ball.
Yeah, here's the ball.
I think actually the last time that I did a game at your place, you screamed at your kid for almost getting picked off at third. And then later on,
What is the scream? You're using the wrong adjective.
Sorry,
I never
very negatively encouraged?
No, it's... No. I'm much calmer in my older years. It's just coach with passion.
But you don't tolerate missing signs.
No, I don't. That's easy. Come on, my signs are... Everybody around this table probably knows my signs. No?
I think they're asking if you'd like to...
Chad doesn't know his own signs.
I mean, you go ahead and tell them if you want.
It doesn't matter. I mean, if they miss them, I'm just going to holler across the field for the guys to steal anyway. So
go. It's
go.
Just goes the sign.
On the next pitch, steal. That has happened. Dusty, you got me there. I'm pretty sure I've done that against you guys. I'm not giving it twice.
I mean, swing hard and run fast.
It's a pretty simple game.
Is that like where Notre Dame has that, above their locker room?
Play
once
like
they
a
go
champion
down?
today?
Swing hard, run fast.
I mean, we could, actually. I might make a T-shirt of it.
Where are you going to put it at? Up in the shelter house?
I'm going to make a T-shirt. This is going to be on the back of our jerseys.
I mean, everybody needs a saying for every year, right?
Yeah.
You might as well.
Swing hard, run fast.
Just put the debate way.
Yeah.
So on the very bottom of it, as long as it says hashtag debate's fault,
right,
then we'll be okay.
We don't have walk-up songs because we don't walk up to the plate. We run up to the plate because we swing hard and we run fast.
I've heard your walk-up songs.
Oh, the kids have knucklehead walk-up songs.
My favorite is using Three Blind Mice when they were introducing the officials. That guy was not happy.
No, he wasn't.
I think maybe that's why you didn't get any calls.
Oh, I think we won that game. I don't know what you're talking about.
This is revisionist? We're just making things up now?
Maybe.
Okay. All right. Well, I asked the same thing to Abe, but what middle of the season, end of the season, what are people going to know about your team they don't know now?
Probably the same things I don't know. Honestly, Mike, no seniors. We're going to be primarily sophomores and juniors. We've got a lot of figuring out to do ourselves. I think we're going to pitch. I think that's not going to be a problem. I think we're going to have a decent pitching staff. Can we score? That's going to be the question.
So basically what I get from every coach is the PCL this year is the Pitching County League.
Well, so, I mean...
There's going to be a lot of 2-1, 1-0 games that we're
having a league night is a double-edged sword. And we're not going to get into that discussion around the table, but everybody's number one.
Especially for certain coaches who have 2 leagues.
Right. Everyone's number one goes. So it creates interesting scenarios where, if you've got a good pitcher, you have a chance at winning a league. We have a good pitcher, but so does everybody else. And so, it makes things interesting, but you don't know. You got to be able to score runs, and that will be the question for us. What's our offense going to be? Like you said, with losing John, you lose almost a 400 batting average and a run producer. But those sophomores last year, they're all juniors now, and they're all bigger and stronger than they were last year. And so that's what we're going to rely on, and we're going to swing hard and run fast, Mike.
You can always try to lead the league in hit by pitch.
Well, I think what the league will find out is the old Matt Dubé is back a little bit. You might see some bunts. You might see a couple, 2 or 3 bunts.
Wait, hold up.
Year.
Fort Jennings is going to bunt?
Maybe just a little.
No way.
Maybe once or twice.
No way. Okay. All right.
Maybe.
I don't know what to do with that. Okay.
Am I done?
I think you're
Am I
done for
cut?
now. I think
So
right
cricket.
now you're done.
No?
The show's over.
All right.
Here at the Red Pig Inn, as we talk to the coaches of Putnam County, which is the Putnam County League plus OG. That's how I envision this. Now we figure out. You want to go next?
I'll go next.
Okay.
I'll get my politically incorrect stuff out.
We've got time to talk about Kalida baseball and the head coach. Now, are we calling it? We're calling it your third year. Is that what we're doing?
Sure.
Because of the
I never know how to
oddity
answer that
with
question,
the.
so-
Every time I write it down, I write either 3 or 4, and I never understand. Like, are we counting?
It should be 4.
I mean, you were the
That year
coach.
should have never been canceled, but
Well, that's a whole other.
yeah.
We don't have time for that.
Yeah, we don't have time for that.
It's only like an hour show. But it is just odd because, I mean, obviously you get hired and you get put behind the 8 ball that you don't have a season. You lose what, Joe talked about and you talked him going out and you coming in of would have been a very fruitful season for you guys with the makeup you had, with what you had coming back from last year. And you get to the districts last year and it's kind of, okay, this is what we expect. This is where we expect that we're supposed to be.
Yeah, well, I mean, I always have high expectations regardless of the players. In all my years of coaching, I think one of the things you got to do is instill confidence and expectations in your guys. And, looking at Abe here, Abe coached with me. He knows exactly what
I know.
said to those
We touched on that earlier.
That was a first practice kind of thing. Is guys, we will win. If we're not going to win, then what's the point of being here? So I take that with me to Kalida. I do it with the Locos, and it's just one of those things. If you don't expect to win, why even show up? I think that's big. I think mentality is a big thing when it comes to baseball, and if they're not in the right mindset, then again, you're already behind the 8 ball.
Plus, you don't want to lose to any of these guys.
Well, I don't want to lose to anybody. It doesn't matter. Like was said earlier, once we're between the lines, it's fair game. I don't want to lose to anybody. I don't care if it's a best friend. Losses all hurt the same. So, you just got to go out there and prepare your guys as best you can, and because we all know this is high school sports, and you never know what you're going to get on a night-to-night basis. So, all you can do as a coach is prepare them and hope they can rise to the challenge when it comes.
You lose to all PCL picks and Justin Siebenek and Grant Vorst, along with Ryan Clausen, Gabe Roof, and Nate Schrader from last year. But you return a ton, including a handful of PCL picks a couple of weeks before the season. How are you feeling not only with your team, but with what you've got with the building project going on over there?
Oh, never mind that.
Well, as far as the team goes, this is the best team we've had since I've been here.
In your 4 years?
Well, outside of that first year, if we would have played, that was a state team. That team was loaded, and it's unfortunate that the season was taken away from them. But back to this year, like I said, in my 3 years now, this is our best team. We have 8 seniors, and the majority of those 8 seniors, this will be 3 or 4 year starter, however you want to call it.
See, those are the hard ones where I'm like, it would have been.
And if you remember, we played a modified Acme season that summer, and I had all my guys showed up. So
And played about 30 games.
we did, yeah.
I think you guys played more than anybody in the state.
It wasn't quite 30. But
Dusty
it
played
was
like 6, and you played 30.
It was definitely like 22, 23-ish. But, we played a lot of games, a lot of baseball. The guys wanted to play. And, that says a lot about them. And because a lot of those seniors that had their season taken away, they played. How many guys would have actually came out and played at a lot of schools? They're giving up their summer to come play baseball.
Well, given that I
after
saw a
they've
lot of
already
those schools, I'd
graduated.
say
So,
not many.
Well, that's true. And, that's one of the biggest things I've been trying to, I guess, improve at Clyde is just the love of the game of baseball and putting it higher on their priority list. A lot of kids nowadays, they get into video games. They get into, all this other crap that I guess I shouldn't say crap. Some people think that's good, but
I'll ask, what's the last video game you played?
Super Mario Brothers.
Okay.
Probably when it just came out back in 87. But, no, it's you got to get to the kids that they've got to want to play baseball and get better at it. If they have 2 free hours, do they want to go play catch? Do they want to go hit in the cage, or do they want to sit at home and, like I said, play video games, do nothing? And that's what I'm trying to get done over there is to get guys that want to play baseball when they have free time. And, guys are starting to get there, and we have a big senior class and a big freshman class. And that freshman class is a lot of baseball lovers. So we got bookend classes, and hopefully we'll have some success.
You get E.J. Miller, Jaden Smith, Drew Buss, Carson Klaus, and Colin Hoffman are all returning league picks, and then you add Bubba in there as well, who for some reason, I think basketball, he was just Braylon. So apparently Bubba didn't transfer over from baseball. He's grown up now.
Bubba, I don't want to speak for him, but Bubba hates the name Braylon. So when you do our games, yes, please say Bubba.
I've always called him Bubba.
Yeah. I remember just a couple years ago somebody said Braylon Smith, and I had no idea who they were talking about.
I didn't either. Somebody asked me that last year with one of your lineups.
It's definitely Bubba. He prefers Bubba. So.
Okay, well, someone should probably tell the basketball people then.
Good luck with that.
You're slightly outspoken. You could do it.
No.
I don't believe you've ever caused a controversy in your life.
I toe the line.
You look at outside of you. When you look at the league, Matt talked about pitching. Every night, you're going to see somebody's best player. I mean, who's the guy that you target in on it and tell the guys, all right, you have to be this or that against him?
I don't say that, honestly. I try, and again, I try and instill that confidence. It doesn't matter who's on the mound. It's up to you to get on base. It's a one-on-one competition regardless of who you're facing. And as a batter, are you going to beat that guy, or is he going to beat you? It doesn't, like I said, it doesn't matter who's out there. And because I think if you say too much, you can get guys looking the wrong way. If you say, hey, you got to hit this guy's fastball, hit this guy's curveball, and I just think you limit yourself when you do that. I'm big on competition. I want my guys to compete. I actually have a board in our dugout and it's still up from beginning of last year. It says win every at bat, and then underneath it says compete in all capital letters, and that's what it's all about in my mind. Again, I don't think you want to think too much about it. There's a pitcher out there who's trying to get you out. You're in the batter's box. Your job is to get on base. Do it. No excuses. So that's kind of where I lean towards. And obviously, there's good pitching in this league. Every guy here has at least one, most likely 2 or 3 good pitchers. So you're going to see a good pitcher every Tuesday night, and so you just got to be ready to go. Again, you got to have the guys that are willing to, step up and be able to play in those tough, tense situations.
Speaking of Tuesday nights, how do you feel about league night?
It's the most asinine thing I've ever heard. Do you really want me to talk about this?
I just couldn't resist.
It's absolutely stupid. If you really want to determine who the best team in the league is, you don't play one night a week, because you could have the worst team in the league but have the best pitcher in the league be the league champion. They could go 7-0 and then lose the rest of their games and go 7-20 for the season, and they could be PCL champions. We probably are the only team or the only league in the state that does it the way we do it, and I just think it's idiotic, and it should change. Again, if you want to determine a true league champion, you should be playing more than one game a week.
I feel like I could have had 8 microphones and just opened that to a round table, and that could have been the whole hour.
Well, we probably could. And you know what? If people disagree, that's fine. Everybody's entitled to an opinion.
I would just sit back and just watch.
That's my opinion, and I think, again, if you're determining a league champion, it should be who the best team is. And who the best team is on Tuesday may not be the best team Monday through Friday.
I asked this because I'm not trying to start something. I legitimately don't know the answer. That didn't used to be that way, correct?
It did not. No. I
don't
know when they changed it, but
how did that get? Okay, hold on. I'm not.
Hey, ask Dusty. He's been coaching for 34 years.
We're going to keep going with you, but
there's a microphone in front of him.
And I honestly am really curious because I don't know how that works. Yeah. Yeah, you could.
You don't know why this got changed?
I honestly don't know. I do.
Because I pushed for it.
If you're not watching.
We had 1 week where we played Fort Jennings on Monday, Grove on Wednesday, and Lipstick on Thursday. We played half of our league games in 1 week. So I proposed it, and it got voted on.
So what I
Now,
heard
to
is.
Chad's point, I don't disagree, but the only way you're going to do that is to play everybody twice.
Right.
Because there's not enough teams in the league, or shorten it to a 3 or 4 week league season and play it 2 times a week.
The problem, what Dusty was bringing up, is it wasn't even. So you had some teams that were playing 3 league games in a week, some teams that were playing 1 league game a week, and some, it wasn't even. So the only way that it was going to be even was to pick either playing series, essentially.
Right.
I would love to play everybody twice.
I agree, but
And that's what other leagues do.
Yeah.
I helped out at Westerville Central down in Columbus for a couple years back when I was still playing and living down there. And, they're the biggest conference in the state. I think they have 32 teams, into 4 different divisions. But you play the same team on, I can't remember if it was Tuesday, Wednesday, or Wednesday, Thursday.
Oh, where they play back to back?
But you play one at home and one on the road. And that you get a true league champion.
Well, the Shelby County League is close because they play them home and away. Yeah, Dave says the NWCC is the same way.
We are probably the only league that doesn't play each team twice. Or
Mike,
at least
what's going to be impossible about this is we got 3 teams in our league that play in 2 leagues.
Right.
So these NWC guys or the BVC guys, they're not going to have any non-conference games if we play everybody twice. So they're looking at 14 games here. How many teams are in the BVC now? 100,000? 10?
What day is it?
Yeah. You know what I mean. That's
right.
That's what makes it tough.
See, like I said, that's why I was curious if it was, okay, this is the only way we can realistically make this work, or if it was, okay, here's a scenario, but here's this problem with it, and, kind of continued that way.
And it turned out to be Tuesday because at the time, BVC was Monday, Wednesday, and NWC was Monday, Thursday. And I actually asked for, when we were talking about it, a Tuesday, Friday, and do it in a 3 or 4 week period. But that got voted down because Fridays you lose too often with senior trips and you lose with whatever else is going on. They didn't want to play Fridays. So that's how it turned into Tuesdays. I don't necessarily like playing a league game the first Tuesday of the year.
Right.
That is something how that materialized was because we were playing a league game the first week of tournament. On it, our Tuesday league schedule still went into tournament, so they bumped everything up a week.
Well, you should find a partner like Fort Jennings and Audubon, kill off one of your non-conference games, and just play them non-league to start the year. Then you don't have a league game to start the year. You have one of those non-league games.
I think the league put that out there so everybody plays on Tuesday nights. But
well, I was just curious.
How often does?
Thanks for bringing that up, Mike.
It was a good discussion.
No, it is, and you know what is the right answer? I don't know, but what I know is, back when I played, and maybe some of these other guys back when they played. I
remember, like to make fun of you, but we're basically the same age, so.
Well, that's fine.
Yeah.
No, I'm way older than you. Anyways,
I'll take it.
I'm 45 now.
I am 40, so we're roughly the same.
You look younger.
I appreciate
Chad, I can't
that.
imagine Clyda was scheduling 2 or 3 league games in a week.
It's not scheduling, but
5
I remember
years ago.
playing 3 league games and a tournament game, because if you guys remember, tournament started first week of May. There was a lot of teams that were beat out of tournament first week of May, and then they still had 7-8 games left to play after that.
Right.
Now, I agree that changing that was the proper thing, because a lot of those teams would just cancel their games. But, again, to me, that is how you decide who the best team is. If you're playing 2-3 games a week that truly matter, you're seeing who the best team is.
I would agree 100% with that. I'm just saying it's going to be impossible to do with 3 teams in our league that play in multiple leagues to play everybody twice. That's going to be tough.
So what happened before we switched? How did it happen before the?
We only played everybody once.
Right, but it was any day.
Anybody scheduled however they wanted to, and that's what I mean. I'd be willing to bet the teams that were in one league, like Clyda, Miller City, Fort Jennings, if you go back and look at those schedules, they weren't scheduling 3 league games in a week. That's a disadvantage.
Absolutely.
that happened that way because things got rained out, and that's how things got pushed back. But my opinion is I as far as the best of what it could be, this is how I would prefer it. Could it be better? Sure, and that's playing everybody twice and playing twice a week, where it takes at least 2 pitchers to win a league. But I don't know how that's possible.
There you go.
All right.
And I respect Dusty's opinion. He knows what he's talking about.
No,
Thank you
likewise.
for- no, I-
well, you're
half
100%
of that.
right, though, on the league thing. It's just a matter
Half of
of
that.
how it comes to fruition.
For sure, and that's why the BVC, they end up changing to Monday, Wednesdays for that reason. Because there was a coach, he complained about, well, these teams, they can pitch one guy, like Marty Baird, when he was at Van Buren, he can pitch every league game. So, but then the funny thing is, the following year, that guy had a really good pitcher, and I know he canceled against us on a night, but my mom went over to the game, I didn't call her, and they were practicing on their field. So I called that coach and asked how come we didn't play. So, and it works for you. We're in, with us being in 2 leagues, but I agree with Chad on that with, I think it should be more than just pitching that one guy.
And that's
every
happened,
night.
too, the way the PCL's been. I mean, you guys have pretty much all had it at different times where, all right, I got this one guy, he's pretty good, and, it's kind of worked out that way.
Yeah, we had that the one year with Nate Schrader, and we weren't very good, but he was, and we won the league that year. I think we had a losing season. We were 12-13, and we won the PCL.
But is that harder for you, though, because you've had years where you've had 2 guys, and one was your quote-unquote PCL guy, one was your BVC guy.
That was probably the only year that as a head coach, that I had 3 sophomores after that. One was decent, the other 2 weren't very good. So we didn't even, the way the season started, we didn't even worry about the BVC. We just kind of focused on the PCL, and have never done that ever. We just play and just kind of see how it works out. But that year with him, I thought, I think with him maybe we can win and he pitched every game, I think, but one. He beat Fort Jennings, I think 1-0, and we played Callida the next night.
Take that, Matt Dubé.
I think Ryan Huffman, he might have been a senior that year, and the one sophomore pitched out of his mind. I think we were up 5-0, and then they back-to-back home runs to make it close. And then a big storm came through there at Lipstick where everybody had going to school. And then I looked out, and I thought, hey, this would be great. We got the lead. I can come back with Nate Schrader. And I look out, and there's Callida people raking our field. So it's funny then, and Nate usually needed some time off. He came out, he said, that was 10 innings. He goes, Coach, my arm feels good. Feel good? Yeah. We went back out there, and I ran him out there, and he shut him down 3 innings and won. But, that was we couldn't have done that way. But there were rainouts, and McBride wouldn't change it. He knew we were playing Fort Jennings on that night, so he wanted to play back-to-back. I think he was surprised when I said, sure. But we did. My philosophy with that is they were open, we were open, we'll play. So that's what we did.
Wow. Okay. Now that I've duct taped that back together, anything else about your team that stands out to you this year?
Well, I mean, our pitching depth is, which kind of goes back to what we were just talking about. Our pitching depth, we've got 5 or 6 guys that on most teams would be number ones. And so I'm really excited about our pitching depth. We might have the deepest staff in Division IV in the state. I just need one of those guys to step forward and be the guy. And with the talk we just had, be the Tuesday night guy. Because right now I'd be willing to throw any one of those guys. And so I think that's the biggest thing as the season goes on is determining which one of those pitchers is going to be that Tuesday night guy, and then eventually, the tournament guy. And hopefully that happens. Or I have 6 guys that pitch like they want to be the guy, and then I have a really tough decision to make. That would even be even better. But
for you, not for everybody else.
Yeah. But no, I'm excited. The guys have been working hard. I think we're way ahead at this point this year than we were last year. But that happens when you have, like I said, 8 seniors, and I think 6 of them are going to be 3 or 4 year starters. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And, you know, again, we got 8 good teams in this league, and so you need to be ready to go every Tuesday night, and looking forward to it. You know, I think we all stay in this game, you know, we want to be positive influences and role models, but at the end of the day, I think we all have that competitive bug in us, and you know, we're looking forward to those Tuesday night games and the rest of the season as well.
I won't ask you a specific, but do you have in your head who you think that's going to be?
Well, the first PCL game is going to be Carson Clausing. But again, any one of those 6, I would feel comfortable putting out there, and they're all going to get their chance. You know, we just had individual meetings with all of our guys yesterday at practice, and I told every one of those pitchers, actually every player on the team, I said, you are going to get a chance. What you do with that chance is up to you, and that'll determine how the rest of your season goes. But that's why you put in all the work. So when you do get that opportunity, you're ready to perform. And like I said, that's what we're going to do with our pitching. Whoever performs the best is going to be the one getting the ball when the games matter the most. So I'm excited to see who that is.
So here at the Red Pig Inn, talking about Kaleida baseball and finishing up with Chad Ernsberger and a lively debate about some things in the world of baseball as well. It seems only right that we would talk about OG baseball here with the I've been trying to figure out how to say this for a while. I would say the youngest.
However you want.
In terms of being your first year in Nick Watkins, now the head coach at Otto Glandorf, has that sort of sunk in yet?
Yeah, now it has.
Yeah.
Being with the program for 3 years under Coach Miller. So been around the program for, I'd say, a decent amount of time here, and then obviously now turning the switch to being a head coach is something that I've wanted since I've, got into coaching. So it might have just came a little earlier than I thought.
Not getting into the whole thing, but first of all, I think OG has to have a coach named Nick.
Seems to be that way.
Yeah. Is it odd to you, or was it odd at any point looking at that and going, you guys go 15-7 last year. It's not exactly like you have a horrible year in the WBL. 6-3 doesn't end the way you would like in the tournament. But going from now replacing a guy who's been OG baseball, who's been there for 15 years.
I think the big thing there, Mike, is we have a lot of guys back that know what we want to see, what I've tried to instill with our players being there for 3 years. So the game plan hasn't, changed a whole lot. The guys know me. They know Coach Keck, who's my varsity assistant, and they've had him at JV ball. So there hasn't been a whole lot of, miscommunication from players to coach standpoint, which is great. Now we just have to find 2 teams to put together to go out and compete every night, which is what we're going to do. But like I said, there hasn't been a whole lot of, uncertainty with coaches and expectations, which is great because a lot of the times you see that happen, a coach will leave, and then you have to pretty much rewrite the script. But it's been nice not to have to do that right away.
You get 3 all-league picks that you lost from last year, Carter Schimler, Nate Mag, and Alex Mackey. You add Landon Jordan and Dylan Leopold, and that's a pretty good 5 right out of the gate. But you get Carter Dooling back, and he's a difference maker. I mean, as we've seen. And then, you'll get him back. Just a matter of when that is. But you've got, obviously, the basketball guys. You get Ty Buckland, you've got Brad Mag, and then Colin said he's coming out to shag some balls, at least when AAU doesn't get in the way.
Yeah, Colin actually confirmed that on the Northwest Ohio podcast I listened to. I texted one of our coaches. I said, signed, sealed, delivered. He's coming out. Because
and he was as confident as possible about it, too. He just said, I'm going out playing baseball this year.
And with Colin, the last couple of years, we've worked around a lot of AAU stuff, and we were up front with him about it because obviously him being a very good basketball player, you don't want a kid to not have to get away from that type of situation. So we make it work, and he knows. Probably one of the best kids you want to be around as a coach.
Well, and I would think it's a hard and an easy thing in that you have to figure out how that's going to work. Yes. But with the way he is as a leader, as a positive influence, especially as an athlete, you have him around. 5 minutes is better than no minutes.
Absolutely. And the best part about it, Mike, is it doesn't really affect any league games, which is great. And that was kind of our conversation last year with Colin, and he agreed. He's like, I'm not going to miss any league games. but maybe a couple Saturdays here and there. This year, maybe it could be a Friday. We do play league games on Fridays too. So I wouldn't be shocked to see if he has a tournament in Indiana on a Friday that he has to leave for. But going with that, like you said, we have plenty of guys that can step in and fill a role that way.
What's that say about your program, though, that, I mean, he's got, obviously, basketball is his bread and butter. He's obviously very good, highly recruited, loves basketball, all that. But he talked about in the same podcast about baseball kind of being his first love and how he kind of never gets away from it. He's always got one eye on it, that he's willing to, for himself, of everybody's probably telling him, hey, man, you don't really do this baseball thing. It's not going to work out for you, but he loves it so much and loves your program so much that he wants to soak up as much of it as he can.
Yeah, I think when you talk about Colin, like you said, he's just a grinder. Anything he puts his mind to, he wants to be the best at it. And like you said, he loves baseball, and I'm glad he does. From a coaching standpoint, he's a great teammate. He's a good guy to be around, and he'll do literally anything you ask him to do, and he'll do it 100%. And that's Colin White. So I respect his decision to play both. It could be easy for a kid that's projected to go Division I anywhere to just say, you know what, I'm just going to focus on basketball and that's it. But like I said, Colin's just he's a different type of kid. He wants to do all of it, and he's going to be the best at everything.
I think he was kind of sad when he had to stop taking hits on the football field too.
Yeah,
not the hits, but
right.
when he could run by guys.
Yes, I think he might play football next year. That's what I'm hearing. But again, I think he got away from a game that he loved so much to focus on something else, and he missed it. And that's just, like I said, the kind of kid that he is.
But you've got a lot of kids like that are, maybe not. You don't necessarily have a team of, say, big superstars, but you've got a lot of kids that will grind. I mean, Ty Buckland's one of my favorites to watch because it seems like whatever you guys want to put him, whatever you want him to do, he'll do. Brad Magg's that way, Caleb Yoder's that way, Evan Peaster's that way of just, okay, what's best for us?
Yeah, I think I looked at Ty Buckland one day and I said, you're going to play third today. And he kind of looked at me and said, okay. And it worked. And like I said, he's just kind of that kid you can put anywhere. Same thing with all those other guys you named. But Ty really sticks out in my head as a program guy that I've been around for 3 years. Even when coaching him in Legion, put him in the outfield. He can pitch a little bit. He's going to be a little sidearm slinger this year for us. He kind of worked on some things in the offseason. But he's been, just a great teammate, great player for us. And like I said, he's going to probably play anywhere you put him. I think the only position that he hasn't played yet at the varsity level or any level I think he's played has been catcher. So you could see him play catcher.
Give him a glove and some equipment, beat him up. WBL this year obviously probably starts with Defiance, as it usually does, because they're pretty good. I mean, they've got some pitchers and some things going on up there. You look at the rest of the league, though, from top to bottom. I know that there were a lot of teams kind of in the middle of the pack last year that graduated some of their better players. What do you see when you look at the WBL this year?
This year I see a lot of different, not a whole lot different from last year. I think it's, again, like you said, it's Defiance is your top dog. Everyone wants to beat them every year, but in terms of that, I think it's very even in the middle of the pack. I know Coach Brand at Walpock's got his son that's a really good pitcher this year for them. He's going to
and he's got that nice new field.
Yes, a brand new field. We're going to play on a lot of good fields this year, even when we go to Callida and play. So it's going to be nice. But yeah, I think if you look at WBL in a whole, I tell our guys every night at practice, it's a grind, and it doesn't matter who you're playing in the WBL. Everyone's going to be good. You're going to get everyone's ace. It's just a grind, and if you don't take it serious every night, I tell them you get chewed up and you get spit out. It's tough. But when you look at the league as a whole, I think there's a lot of parity this year outside of Defiance, and I think a lot of teams in the league this year can give Defiance a run for their money this year, just because when you play Defiance, you got to pitch well, you got to play good defense, you got to hit. I go back to 2 years ago, we played Defiance at Defiance, and Nate Mag was the pitcher, and Defiance scored 2 runs in the first inning, and the final score was 2-0. So they're beatable. Again, you got to be perfect, and you got to bring that every night to the field.
Well, you've also got Van Wert, because Van Wert as a whole, that group that they have plays every sport together. They play football. They just ended their basketball season, but a lot of those same kids are together on the baseball field, and they have been the last handful of years. They're one of those where you guys always have just one of those games against them that you better strap up, because it's going to be 5-4 and be some weird bloop to left field that ends up winning that game.
Yeah, those games are always good. I know last year, I'm thinking correctly, it wasn't the best, but I just keep going back to that sectional game at Van Wert, where it was, like you said, it was back and forth, and it went to extra innings, and then luckily we came on top of that one. But every time it seems like, we play Van Wert, it's a grind, and I give their coaches the utmost respect, too, because they're two great guys, and they always get their guys ready to play. And with that, you're going to see a pitcher from Van Wert or anywhere that's going to be sitting 80-plus every single night. So our guys got to get ready for that, and it's sometimes a struggle. But, again, like you said, that's where you see those 1-0 ball games, 2-0 ball games, 2-2, going extra innings, and it's late, and, you got school the next day. So, but I wouldn't want it any other way. To me, that's where baseball is the most fun.
Last 2 games, kind of a swing of emotions, though, because you beat Maumee 6-5 in that game that – kind of goes back, and then the first couple of innings don't go well against Defiance in the next one. What was neither? Obviously, losing is hard, but I mean to be able to just talk to the kids and look at them of, okay, we played well one day, just they're pretty good. We just didn't play well.
Yeah, I mean that's baseball. I mean one day you play real well, the next night you just kind of wheels fall off. Maybe you're throwing a different guy you don't usually throw. But in that game specifically, Mike, you talk about it's like the same thing that happened in the Defiance game 2 years ago. You're competing for 4 innings, and then all of a sudden the wheels just kind of fall off, and that's how other teams that are good enough that they'll beat you if you don't do those little things correctly.
Well, it's kind of like Chad was talking about something else, but he said, the being good on one night, because baseball is a stupid game in that it's funny, but not funny, ha-ha, most of the time.
It's a game of error, and you like we tell our kids, you're going to fail, but how you handle that adversity is how we're going to be better off.
And you only have to be good 30% of the time.
Absolutely. It might get you in the Hall of Fame.
Are you guys playing all of your games at Memorial?
Correct.
Okay. Boss was asking that.
Yes, every game at Memorial. We actually just, on the night before that it snowed this week, funny story, we were spreading new dirt on the infield. So the dirt, if you drive past the field, it looks a little different. It's got a little darker tint to it. So hopefully we got some new dirt on that field this year.
What are you most looking forward to your first year with wins and losses attached to your name?
Like a lot of these coaches will say, I'm not really focused on the wins and losses. I just want to see our guys go every night and compete. I think that's kind of something that I've been trying to tell these guys since I got to OG is every night it's going to be a grind in our conference. In our non-conference, we play, predominantly all these guys at this table, and they're going to bring their best also. So we just got to compete. Our big thing is win the day, win the pitch, win the at-bat, win everything. And I think if we do those things, we'll be successful no matter what the record is. I just want to compete, and I think these guys know it, and we're close.
I think the guy across the table with you had a similar mantra.
He stole that from me.
Yeah, well, yeah, right. It wasn't the minor leagues or the college baseball. That's where he stole it from.
No, I mean, honestly, that goes back to college ball with Coach Derek Woodley. He preached that every day, and that's kind of stuck with me. So, and now he's with the Yankees. So
I was going to say, how about the news for him?
Well, I was going to use him this year to come by some practices, but that's going to be kind of hard because he's going to be somewhere else in a better light. So good for him, though.
Well, you bought stock in Zoom a couple years ago, right? We can just use that.
Yeah, we can. I don't know how well it's going to work out in the field, but we can.
The internet's
try
not great out at Memorial, though, so that's probably not going to work.
I believe you.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
I wanted to make sure to include you, obviously, because we're right down the street. Well,
right.
The school is down the street, as we've learned. But something kind of different to make sure we get every coach and talk to Jordan and talk about Continental Baseball. And I mean, I have that muted. What are you worried that you're going to say? Oh, yeah, sure. Sure it did. Came unplugged because one of you unplugged it. Smart guys. I had it muted. Goodness. All right, hold on. I got to switch microphones.
Sorry, Mike.
It's the power of live radio.
Yes.
Those guys are having secret conversations that they don't want. They want Dave to go away. That's how you know. They're on camera, but no one can hear them, which I don't think that they've realized yet. I have to ask you this. Okay, your first year last year, you guys have lost now 17 in a row dating back to the previous season, but Abe talked a little bit about adding stability to Pandora, and Continental's had 5 coaches in 7 years.
Correct.
What is it about your hiring in 2022 that you look at it and go, all right, I feel like I can do better. I feel like this is the thing for me.
Right. Well, I mean, I do. I have a son in the 6th grade, and I know there's some stuff. 7th grade got a nice class, some stuff coming, and I want something better for them and being the athletic director there too. I mean, I guess I hired myself, but you'll have that. But anyways, no, I want to. It's a sport I've loved. I did softball at Continental for 14 years before I did the baseball, and yeah, I just want. I know it's going to take time. It's going to be a process. Could be a very difficult process, but I want something better for these kids in a sport that I grew up enjoying. That's for sure.
Well, and again, it's a program that overall, I mean, you've got so many great programs you talk about. These guys talked about, especially with the league night, of knowing you're going to get everyone's ace.
Absolutely.
The last winning season being in '83.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to bring that up that way,
No,
but
that's
I wanted to
fine.
ask you in terms of creating your own culture of going the other way. 82 and 83, back-to-back winning seasons. The last non-losing season, though, comes Terry Dockery had a 12-12 year in 2012.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get those kids to go, all right, let me see that paper, let me throw it in the trash, because that's what we were.
Right.
Over here is what we want to be and what I feel like we can be.
Right. I mean, it starts with the youth, obviously. And then I think we have 3 C League teams this year, a B team, an A team, finally a Pony League team. We're climbing that ladder, and I know it's going to take to get to them. I know we're going to have to go through. I mean, this is a gauntlet, as you've talked about. These guys these are tough. Every Tuesday night, you're going to go fight a tough battle. But and then we do have no seniors this year, but we have a group of juniors and a group of freshman class this year that we're going to have. I feel 1-2 pitchers are going to be tough. 3-4 are going to be right there, but 3 and 4 are going to be freshmen. But still, we know there's lumps. We know that, but we just want to show that, like I said, I want to instill that we're there to come in. They're all saying that everybody's here to compete. Everybody's there to. I mean, that's cliche.
I think one guy very much pointed that
yeah,
out.
I know that's definitely a little cliche, like you said, but that is the goal. We have to get better every day and show these youth that this is a sport worthwhile. Because I mean, our soccer program's obviously very good. Basketball was much improved this year, and we're just trying to instill a good culture for everything Continental.
You've got 3 honorable mention kids coming back, and Sam Newsom, Ethan Sullivan, Tim Shepard.
Mm-hmm.
How much of a base does that give you for those 3? Because obviously, you don't just get all league just for the heck of it.
Right.
I mean, they don't just give those out. Everybody at the table had to have seen something about those kids, whether it was what they did on the field or how they were able to lead your boys.
Yeah, Sam and Ethan, that's going to be on a 1-2 punch this year. Sam, he plays baseball year round. He's playing with his Bo Jackson League, playing that, and they get out there and play. And Ethan Sullivan, you won't find a kid that absolutely works harder than him. They're both hitting in the 80s now, and then ready to go. So, and they are working hard. They're working extremely hard, but once again, you can throw strikes all day and do that, but your defense has got to make a couple plays too, and that's where we struggled last year. These guys pitched their butts off, but then a couple errors here and there, and then you got big trouble.
Like I said to Nick, baseball's a stupid game.
It is, absolutely, for sure.
Like, how are you going to do that? You're going to take a round object and hit another round object with it?
Correct.
And you're going to have success?
Makes perfect sense.
Last time, I am saying this for one person, last time Continental picked up a win, it was against one of the guys sitting at the table.
Which one was it?
Maybe the one across the way from me.
Okay, there you go. I'd like to get him again.
But it was kind of a typical thing of what I was talking about pitchers earlier of a 1-0 win. And if I remember right, it ended. I think it was 2021. The end of 2021.
It would have been Mitchell Coleman. Yeah.
And it was just one of those things where some nights baseball's a great game.
Right, absolutely. And that year, once again, then they go play Wayne Trace, who's maybe a district team that year in the tournament game. This is a 4-0 game. I mean, it is. It takes a couple guys to get hot. I mean, the arm's feeling good, and you can any given night. So
you had kind of the same thing I talked about with Fort Jennings with Audubon of Mother Nature.
Mm-hmm.
Only let you play 14 games.
Correct.
With a younger team and with building your program,
to get out
I understand that you can't change it, but how maddening is that? I just want these guys to have those extra 10 days.
Yeah, it's super, super frustrating because obviously, you all know baseball, softball in the gym is absolutely terrible. It's absolutely atrocious and dealing with that. But, these guys just need to play. That's what's going to make us better. We got to get out and play. I mean, I know practice obviously is super important, but we need to put what we're using out there to the test and just try to get better at that.
It should be. I hope you guys have a great, interesting
I appreciate
year.
it, and I appreciate it, Mike. Thanks for all the coverage and all you do. Appreciate it.
I mean, I like baseball. That's what
Me too.
I don't know if I can break up this party they're having over there.
I don't know. It looks pretty intense down there.
I mean, they've already unplugged one microphone.
Yeah, what are they talking about?
I can only imagine. It's the two older guys at the table, too.
Exactly. Anything Dusty, you can't trust him.
I mean, Ty looks like he's ready to get away from Dusty for a while.
Well, I'll let him slide in over here.
Well,
thanks, Mike.
Thank you. We'll continue. Okay. No, you're fine. No, yeah, that's fine. I didn't know.
District 8 Bank.
I didn't want to keep you. I just didn't want to separate you from those hooligans down there.
Yeah. Crazy.
Talking now about Lipstick baseball because that's coming up, by the way, in about 25 minutes or so on Z3. Darren Henry, the longest tenured coach of the guys at the table, 21 years now. I would imagine in that part, I mean, you've seen a lot of these guys kind of go from, especially maybe Dusty, go from being players now and kind of being that little annoying guy that I had to try to have my team strike out to being one of your comrades. How much have you seen the game in Putnam County change in 20 years?
Not a lot. It's good baseball. It's been good baseball for, like I said, for 20 years. I was assistant coach when Chad was at Kalida playing. Looks like I was assistant coach then. So it's been good baseball for all those years. I don't think it's changed a whole lot.
The difference, though, I mean, because that entire time you guys have always been BBC and PCL, right?
Yep.
And when you first took that over, did you kind of look at it and go, all right, there's going to be some extra challenges here. I'm going to maybe things now as an older coach that it's seen it a couple of times versus earlier on where, man, how am I going to navigate trying to figure out two guys every week?
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough, but like I said, we usually start the year. We just kind of throw guys out there and kind of see how the season starts. And once we get going, we just try to, at the start of the season, it seems like I need 6 guys. Then once you get going, you need 3, basically. And then you have some guys that'll pitch non-league. And we just try to get those 3, and it's just a rotation. Because I've got burnt on a few years, you have your number 1, you get rained out in a league game on Monday, so you don't pitch him. We got another league game Thursday, you save him for Thursday. That gets rained out, he hasn't pitched all week. So that's the biggest challenge to it. You may have had a non-league game in there, but you got to get him work.
Right.
So that's the toughest part of it with the weather and making sure that guy gets enough work. So, and finding 3 guys that can, make you competitive.
Last year, you guys win the district for the second straight year. You go 17-8. You have Luke Spores, and I know there are a lot of coaches, both of the PCL and the NWC. Eric Fishpaul raves about having that young man, or I guess having to try to figure him out. What is it about his game that just kind of translates to how you want him to dominate the game?
Luke's kind of different because he seems to get stronger as the game goes, which is weird. And he's always been a power guy, and not that he throws overly hard, but he learned a good lesson against Crestview last year. He gave up a huge home run to lead off the game, off the wall there in center field. Nobody's ever hit that wall before. And then he learned after that how to pitch, that he's got to mix it up. And once he started mixing it up and developing a little changeup, and he became a lot better pitcher.
Just give him the book written by Greg Maddox.
Yeah.
So you don't have to throw 100. You don't have to find this.
Right.
I mean, I don't think Maddox maybe ever threw 100 in his life.
Right. But we've had a lot of guys like that. I've hardly had anybody throw 80. But if they can throw some strikes and move it around, and that's what we know. Mason Brandt was the same last year. He was our 2. And Blake Lifwick we thought would be our 1, but he was our 3 because he didn't throw enough strikes. He just couldn't find it. So, we had those 3.
And he had I saw you guys a handful of times where he would go out and throw one brilliant outing where just everything seems to be clicking, and then he would have one where maybe the first handful of pitches, first sequence didn't go the way he wanted, and it sort of threw his confidence off track a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
I have a question from our Facebook Live, and I know I've asked you this before.
Question
and I've asked,
for me?
Yeah. It's it was for you and Abe. I've asked Abe this before, though.
Okay.
When you're in those 2 leagues, I mean, do you pick one? And it's kind of what you guys were talking to piggyback what you were talking about earlier, and just go, all right, we see how the league is. We see Lincoln View over here. we see Miller City and collide over here. Let's go that way.
Yeah. No. I said I've only ever done that one time with that Nate Schrader. And it happened, and it worked out. 'Cause we really had no other pitching besides him. But other than that, no. We just rolled out. Now, once we get going later on, if we're out of one league, then then you'll start. But to start the season, no.
Well, that's what I was thinking. It was the year you were talking about. I remember because I remember looking at the BBC and going, okay, they lost a couple of heartbreakers in the NWC. They're probably going to put all their nuts in that basket, and it worked out pretty well.
Yeah. I mean, it's worked out some, and last year with the Grove game, only playing them once in both leagues. I mean, that was a huge game in both leagues. If we beat them, we're going to tie for first in the PCL more than likely, and then we don't have one loss yet, and somebody's got to beat Lincoln View, which was going to be tough, but so sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but that's with anything, even if we're just in one league.
You beat Miller City in the districts, and that's such a big emotional thing because of kind of the way the up and down of it, where it comes in regionals against Lincoln View. You've seen them already. You're pretty sure what they're going to do because you saw them in league. You know it's as important to them because it's tournament.
Yeah.
Just they were able to string across some hits, and it seemed like you guys they just handcuffed you a little bit.
We couldn't get the third out. The first, I think, 3 innings. We'd get the first 2 outs in about 5 pitches and couldn't get the third out. And they scored in every inning after that. We just couldn't get them out. But that was a big thing, I think, where obviously they're pitching, but I think where they improved most was they're hitting 1 through 9. They put the bat on the ball.
And I know that was something that Fish talked about before the season, that in times that I've talked to him of, we want to be, you guys have had those years and everybody where it just seems like everybody's hitting 285 or more, and all of a sudden everything clicks. You look up, you have 17, 18 wins, and you get to go to a regional. He's just kind of had, and he lost a lot from the year before to be able to do that. He said he thought maybe 1 through 9 they were a better team last year.
They were, especially as the year went on, if you watched their scores at the end of the year, they were 1 through 9. That's what the big thing in that game, the regional game, I thought was their hitting.
Which is, again, crazy for a team that's so well known
with the pitching
for pitching.
they have, with a good hit like that, they're tough.
And you know that at some point that Fish will love to bunt, too.
Yeah.
I mean, is that kind of a maddening thing of knowing that he prides his team on being able to go anywhere from 1 through 9 of, okay, we don't really care what, the player is. We know in the scenario we can get this down.
Yep. That's, I feel like most of the time we're prepared for that. We practice a lot for that, so hopefully we're prepared. But that they're going to put some bunts down, too.
You talked about Mason, and you lose Quinn Schrader and Blake Liffick, 3 guys all up at the top, all PCL picks. How do you replace guys like that for this year?
Well, Quinn's back.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I wrote it on the wrong line.
For the 3 seniors we lost, they were just so good defensively. And then Mason was 2 and Blake Liffick was 3, so unless somebody else walks in the gym tomorrow, I don't know who our 2 and 3 is. So,
with the way season's not that far away, I mean, I asked the other guys, how do you feel you're doing, or that you guys will be when the season kicks off? Or is that there's a long way between here and the next 2 weeks?
Yeah, we have 7 or 8 lettermen coming back. We lost 2 guys who would have played before the season started, and they're back. They've missed a year. So, I like where we're at. Practice has been good. They're very competitive. We just got to find some pitching.
Can you get Luke one of those extra COVID years?
Yeah,
it's like college.
Be okay, we take it.
You know how many high schools are probably trying to figure out a loophole?
I know.
Where they could go.
That'd be all right.
Can we get one of those extra years?
Yeah, that'd be okay.
Well, that's awesome. I thank you so much.
Yeah,
I know you've got to go talk to Nate.
Yeah, I guess. We'll head that way now. All right, thank you.
Thank you so much. That's Darren Henry from Lipsick. As we continue, we'll talk about Audubon now, and I guess Ty gets to get to the hot seat. It just worked out that way. They wanted to go down the table, but Dusty was the first one here. Well, DeBay's got thoughts, but he's got a lot of thoughts. His opposition in 9th-year head coach Ty Wanamaker, I think you may be the most reserved of this group.
Well, it's hard to get a word in, honestly.
That's why you had to move to this end of the table.
A lot of truth.
He's not wrong. Sitting across the table, by the way, from him are Matt Dubé, Chad Ernsberger, and Dusty Peister. So he was sitting between where the last two were. So, yes, I will 100% say you're right. They don't even care. Like I was talking about them, they didn't even turn their head. You look at this year's group. You guys go 6-9 last season. I understand what the PC answer is, but how maddening is it to only be able to play 15 games and then at times not play for like a week and a half?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to get a rhythm. And in high school baseball, when you got to get in a rhythm, especially at the plate more so than anything. And to see pitches and it is essential. I mean, that's what we preach right now in preseason. You got to see everything because we just got our basketball guys back this week, full squad. So we just started full squad on Wednesday with everybody. And the one thing I'm preaching to everybody is the reps. You got to get those reps in. And it gets real frustrating because you can only work so long in the gym. And the guys go crazy, coaches go crazy. But unfortunately, that's just the nature of the beast because of our season the way it is in the early spring. Shoot, there's snow on the ground today. Like, come on, we're supposed to play in 2 weeks.
Let's not bring that up.
You know, so yeah, it is what it is, and it's part of the game. But yeah.
Well, I'm not allowed to talk about your basketball team. That guy's pretty much blacklisted me at this point. I talked to him enough. But how important? I mean, you guys have gone from picking a handful of kids, and it's not a secret. You guys are not a big school, kind of similar to a lot of schools at the table of you get a massive percentage of these kids to come out and play. And, you know, the girls have done it for years where as they've continued to grow the basketball program and the soccer program, and you get a lot of these kids. I mean, how much of it is they truly love baseball and how much of it is they love hanging out with their friends?
You know, the more you see it, it's more they want to hang out with their friends. And you got your baseball guys mixed in there, don't get me wrong, but you also have your athletes in there who baseball is not their first sport, but basketball definitely is. But it's definitely that camaraderie that they have with each other, that they just want to be around each other, just want to be part of the team and everything. And that's been our struggle in baseball, is getting everybody that, you know, enjoys basketball to come out. Because don't get me wrong, I mean, we just talked about it, how it's so frustrating with the weather in the spring. Like, who wants to stand out there for 7 innings and freeze their butt off in the dugout? So, I mean, it's not the greatest thing in the world to sell. So, but definitely being with their buds, being out there with the competitiveness of, you know, I want to do this too type thing, they enjoy that. So that helps definitely get some numbers out.
Well, if Fort Jennings would have used their money and Collider would have used their money, you guys chip in some. You guys could have just built one dome.
That's true. We could. I'm actually saving my money to donate to the Miller City Track program still, so we're working on that. I know Matt is too.
He got one smile. He just kind of looked at you. But it is crazy. You know, I've joked about that for years. If I could just take up a collection, like a GoFundMe, especially with baseball coaches in Northwest Ohio, I feel like I do pretty well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Easily. Definitely. I mean, Chad's got it made there with that carpet he's got on his field, so.
We've been donating for the hockey arena for a long time.
It's the Cricket Center field.
That's true.
What's cricket played on? A field? I don't know.
Pitch.
You get one of those? A pitch? I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't believe I'm going to be a party to this. But not that far away. We sit about 15 days. You guys open up a Paulding, and then you go to that carpet at Collider, and you pretty much visit everybody across the table early on.
Yeah.
Going to Fort Jennings with your non-league game, and then at Elida. I mean, that's not great. At least you don't have to go to Paulding before you go to all these other places.
Yeah. I mean, the big thing is getting those games in early, and most of the time we schedule those and we don't end up playing them. So that's the downfall too there. But I'd rather play more games early just to get those reps in, and then learn earlier than later. So we try to bulk the schedule as many games as we can in the beginning of the season. But also in the past, we've been limited with numbers. Fortunately, this year, I get a decent amount of numbers. We got 17 guys out on the team. But we're still going to be struggling with pitching numbers-wise. That's one thing we've been struggling with in the past couple of years, is just the pitching numbers that we have available And we always, like everybody else at the table here, we've always got one guy that can go out every night for us, but it's finding the depth. That's the problem.
Well, apparently you should go into the Clyde School District.
Yes.
And you should see that one kid lives 2 roads down too far and petition that he needs to move.
Yes.
And go to Audubon.
Yeah, I don't know why I haven't thought of that. I should do that.
I'm sure nobody's thought to try that. I mean, just like all the kids that live between Audubon and Fort Jennings.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm sure nobody's thought of that.
Yeah, my house is one of those, so.
Oh, well.
I made sure I built on the right side of the road. That way I wasn't in the Jennings School District.
There used to be a guy on the other side that said he didn't like the color green, and then he changed sides, I think. That's kind of how that went. But it really is cool to be able to see kind of how you guys are in that, you guys have all talked about between the lines, but then you're able to come together and just kind of sit and joke, and it's like a fraternity that for the most part is like a bunch of annoying brothers to one another.
It is, honestly, and I think that's just because we've been around each other for so long, too. Like, this is my 9th year, 10th year, whatever it is. Matt's been doing it for a while between PG and Jennings, and so is Dusty and Darren. So, and Abe even. I've known Abe when he was at Allen East.
Abe's like a weird outlier.
Right?
Because he was there, but like he only gets credit for a couple of years.
That's true. He did come to the right part of the county. Though,
Jordan's sort of the same way. Because they both are in their second at their current school. But Jordan talked about coaching softball for almost a decade and a half. I mean, it is cool though. I mean, obviously, I have told people for years, I don't think you quite understand kind of the composition of, for the most part, Putnam County baseball coaches. The only one I could think that comes close is the coaches in the MAC are all pretty close in that they're all close together the same way, and they've all known each other, played against each other for years.
Yeah,
and
sure. Yep.
When you look at the league this year, you guys go 2-5. An oddity in that half of your games last year end up being conference games.
Yes.
That you're eventually able to get in.
Yep.
Right in that mix, I mean, the difference between Lipstick, Clyde, Fort Jennings, Audubon, Pandora, all kind of 1 or 2 games. Mm-hmm. And I would be willing to bet you, if I look at that, probably maybe 5-6 combined runs.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, last year we were just trying to figure out, because 2 years ago we had that great senior class. We had 6 guys in that class that started for us and all weighed heavily. We had the Turbin. Turbin was our main pitcher. Seaver was there too. Once we had those guys healthy, I mean, we honestly brought back no experience. And last year, a lot of those guys may have played in a couple varsity games before that. So last year was more of a learning curve for us and trying to figure out who our ace was, because we did not have an ace, I would say, probably till the 2nd or 3rd week of the season, definitively.
Which by then you're halfway through your game.
Exactly. And it was like, gosh, which guy is going to be the guy? And it happened to be Jaden Saxton, a freshman. So that's why we were like, gosh. And even Jaden couldn't throw more than 7 innings, and part of that was because he's a freshman. We don't want to blow his arm out the first year. So. It was a lot of relief work, a lot of throwing guys 2 innings here and there, the Devil Ray away, and we might have to do that a little bit this year. I feel like this year we've got 2 solid starters, and Jaden, and then Keaton Snipke came out of nowhere last year and threw 2 complete games after having not pitched at all up until last year, pretty much. And
nobody had any film on him. That's what
no, exactly, yeah. So he did really well for us last year, and we look for him to do really well again, and then it's just throwing guys an inning here, an inning there. And Trey Landwehr's coming back for us from injury. He had a rotator cuff surgery the year before. So he wants to pitch. I'm really apprehensive with that. but when he pitched as a sophomore, he was pretty dominant too in the relief appearances that he had. So, it'd be nice to get a good, solid group of pitching, because that's where we're going to go this year. It's all going to depend on our pitching. I feel confident in our hitting this year. With having extra at-bats from last year and more experience coming back, too.
Well, as I understand it, if it doesn't go well, you can always just bunt.
Well, yeah.
A guy told me that one time. If you can't hit the ball, just try to bunt.
That's true. That is true. I don't know. If you can't bunt, though, that's a problem.
Well,
so
there is that.
Yes.
Then you got a whole other set of problems.
Yeah.
You talk about kind of pitching a little bit. I wanted to ask a couple of guys this, but in terms of pitch counts, I mean, do you guys have where this is at now of, X is good, Y is bad? because I've always thought it was kind of an asinine thing in that the number, because you're not counting warm-up pitches, you're not counting your side, you're not counting your bullpen, any of that stuff of, MLB guys, we freak out when they hit 100. Well, if he throws 100 pitches in the game, he's probably thrown close to double that throughout the course of the day. What's the bad number?
Yeah.
I knew he was going to want to be a part of this discussion. As I'm watching him just foam.
You got me unmuted?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, maybe.
Yeah, pitch count is another one of those things that's really, really dumb. It's not the number of pitches you throw. It's the amount of rest that you get afterwards. And that's what people don't understand. I mean, you can go out there and throw 300 pitches, and you're going to be fine, as long as you take off 6-7 days afterwards. And any strength coach, any health professional will tell you that. It's just like lifting weights. You go in there and you can lift legs hard for 2 hours to where you can barely walk afterwards, and you're going to be fine unless you try and do something with your legs the next day. Now, if you take 3-4 days off, you're going to be fine. It's the same thing with pitching. And, I actually watched a video yesterday with Goose Gossage, and he was talking about the pitch counts of today. And he just flat out said, he's like, look, back in the day, we all threw – relievers would throw 50, 75 pitches every day. Starters, 100, 150, 200 pitches. Yeah, and no arm injuries. Nowadays, guys have pitch counts, and everybody has an arm injury. You can't go through a major league pitching staff and find 5 guys who have never had an arm injury, and they've had pitch counts their entire life. I mean, I don't think that's a coincidence.
Oh, yeah. Anybody who wants to complain can tweet us at Wienerman46 on Twitter. That's our stock complaint department. I feel like I should run a disclaimer anytime Chad shows up.
What's that?
Should be like a disclaimer. The following are the views of Chad Ernsberger.
I know, but you know better than to ask me because I like giving my opinion. And a lot of
Technically,
times my opinion isn't the politically correct one.
You just had to – you couldn't let that
you
go.
Said
I knew
you
that was
to
coming.
ask this to the table.
I didn't, though. No, I appreciate it. For real, though, because I'm always fascinated by that because I know that, for instance, there's a lot of talk about that, like not blowing kids' arms out at the youth level where you'll find one kid when you start letting him pitch 10 years old, whatever, that guys will, the tendency is to ride them because some coaches, all they want to do is win. But I'm always fascinated by different coaches and their thoughts on, what's enough, how do I get the most out of this kid, and not, like you were talking about having a kid coming back from surgery, of not blowing him out and screwing him up going forward.
What kind of pitches are they throwing, too? I mean, they can throw 10 pitches with nobody on, 10 pitches with constant runners on. Those are 10 sets of very different pitches. So what stress levels are they putting on their arms as well? It all comes down to...
And then what type of pitches in those pitches?
Sure. Well, maybe. If you're doing them right, it really shouldn't be. But the reality of it is what's your rest period? What's your arm care afterwards? What's your arm care going leading up to? It's all about rest and arm care. Chad and I agree right here.
Mm-hmm. We always agree, man.
I'm gonna probably go back. I'm gonna mark that. I'm gonna go cut that down. So later on, when I have their game against each other and they're both out there arguing, I'm just gonna play the clip that just says
Matt and I would never argue
here.
Can I add one more thing?
Sure.
So even though
It's just Dusty next.
Even though I do completely disagree with pitch counts, I do always follow them. You got to throw that out there nowadays. I think
right now he's gonna plug the microphone back in.
I think the most number of pitches any of my guys threw last year was like 85. But I do it more.
Is that a verifiable fact by everyone else at the
absolutely.
table?
You can go check on Game Changer.
Right,
because I don't even think I had a perfect game. I don't think I had a a complete game last year. But no, I mean, I do follow it. I disagree with the rules, but I follow them. And back to your younger kids, pitch count is only a thing when you're pitching off a raised mound. When you're throwing flat ground, nobody seems. Or they still seem to care, but they don't understand that. What's the difference between throwing a flat ground pitch versus throwing a ball from shortstop? There's literally no difference. And who out there would say, you know what, shortstop, you have to stop at 70 throws today?
Well,
or,
give
when
Major
you're
League
warming
Baseball
up,
time.
it's the same thing. If you're throwing from a flat ground mound, which you do from, under 12, under 13, I don't know when that change is, but nobody says a word about a position player playing catch all day and making all these throws, but they want to say it with pitcher. It's the same throw on a flat ground. So it just tells me that there's something else going on to warrant these pitch counts. Because again, when you ask the medical professionals, they got no problem with it. They say it's all about the rest. So, I'm all for the rest days with the current pitch count. But when it comes to a maximum of 105 pitches, I think it is. 125. See, it's 120. I didn't even know because my pitchers never get that high. Because if you need 125 pitches, you probably should have came out of the game way earlier than that. But
hey, you have a microphone.
Yeah.
You can't talk to him.
But back when I
plug
played,
it in.
I would throw Tuesday, Friday. I remember I threw district semis and threw 150 pitches. Then I came back on Friday and threw 160 pitches. And I did that quite a few times. And I played a long time after high school, and I never had an arm injury. Never. And I never iced. I never did band work. I never did any of that stuff. It comes down to, are you in shape? And I think, is your mechanics correct? And then are you mentally strong enough to do it?
No, we don't have time for
Yeah,
that.
we don't need to talk about the pitch clock.
Now debuting every Sunday afternoon on WZOQ Radio, the Chad Ernsberger Baseball Hour.
Yeah, I am available for a podcast.
I don't have that kind of length or bandwidth on my podcast provider, I don't think. Okay. Now that we've totally derailed this segment, anything else you want to add about your team?
No. I mean, just like everybody else here, we just want to compete this year. It's whether or not we can get that number one guy again. Jaden Saxton did put on 15 pounds of muscle over the year, and he is looking really good this year. However, like I said, Keaton Schnipke, he's also put on some miles per hour too. So one of those guys we look to be our number one and be our Tuesday night guy. Now, I will say Tuesday nights does benefit our situation this year. A couple years ago, I wish we wouldn't have had the Tuesday nights. But I'm sure everybody's going to go through that eventually. So in our case, it does benefit us this year.
So we'll talk about the Miller City Wildcats. And according to Dan Kern, this is the 100th year of Miller City baseball with the guy who's been there for, I think, about a quarter of them. Thanks, Nick. Guy who's been there for a while at Miller City now.
Finally off the camera.
We'll turn his microphone back on and see how this goes. Hi there.
Mr. Hearn, how are you?
Mr. Peaster, how are you?
Doing well.
Hey, how's your house?
Love it.
I didn't buy your other one, so I'm sorry about that. Wish I would have.
You'd be close to.
I wouldn't get harassed about living in Findlay. So you've been sitting down there for a while, and a lot of things have been going on. There has been it's quite a few sidebars, I think, that have gone on throughout this whole thing. But we'll start with your team first. Now, your 14th year, you get a team that everybody has talked about pitching. That's been their one big thing. And you've got maybe the biggest piece of all in the returning PCL Player of the Year in Caleb Neese. 7-0 last year, a .94 earned run average. One of only, I think it was 4 or 5 kids to ever strike out 100 in a season at Miller City. That seems to me, from the outside of whatever happens next, that's a heck of a way to start.
Obviously, we're excited to have Caleb back. He's worked hard all off season to try to improve his game from that, so we'll see where it goes. I think, as we kind of talked before this started, the thing is, I think every team in this league, I heard Abe say, wants to be better. But when I go down the line, I would say every team in the league is going to be better. So that means we'll have to be better too.
When you look at the league from a whole, I mean, you come down last year, it goes Grove, Miller City, Lipstick, Kalida in the top 4. Is that kind of how you see maybe that top 4 sitting this year?
Well, I think Grove and Kalida are really, really, really good. Senior laden, which is important. So I think I've got one of the better pitchers in the league, which sometimes determines the game. If he can stay healthy, if he can keep himself in the game, from a standpoint of throwing strikes, we'll have a chance to win when he's on the mound for sure. But Grove was 7-0 last year with their 3 best guys back. So I don't know. You can't look anywhere else but them. Clyde's got 8 seniors returning. As Chad said, 16,000 starting pitchers. So they're going to be really good too.
So everybody in Kalida is now a starting pitcher. Every single person.
Every person they've ever known.
You're right. And every person they've ever known, yeah. Did you guys offer Caleb a new hat?
Interesting. I got a text from his dad the other night. He washed it.
His hat from last year?
No, his dad did. He took it, washed the front of it, made Caleb mad, and said that hat was 7-0 last year. If he loses this year, it's on him. So we'll see where it goes.
I wish I could remember, but I heard a story that one of the teams that he pitched against had taken and made fun of his hat, and then he pretty much just proceeded to go nuts against their lineup. It was one of the non-league. It was like, it was Arlington.
That would be a story I'm not aware of.
I'm pretty sure it was early in the year. It was either Arlington or Arcadia, one of the teams you guys played.
We did not play Arcadia, and he did not pitch against Arlington.
Who was
so
it?
not
It
to
was somebody.
hijack the interview here, but
I just can't remember who it was. Somebody told me a story, and they're like, maybe we didn't. Well, that's why I saved you for almost last. See, I know what comes next because Braden's next. So no matter how this goes, I at least have one interview that went well at midnight.
It would not surprise me if somebody made fun of that because it was on the ground more than it wasn't. We tried to bobby pin it and all that kind of stuff, but just didn't work.
There must have been some magic in his hat. You lose program guys coming from last year, how you get younger, obviously, this year, but you've got guys who we talked about earlier on with baseball guys that you have versus kind of having athletes. How, I guess, confident are you you're able to replace those kind of guys?
Well, that is the question mark. We lose our catcher, our shortstop, our center fielder, and our third baseman. And if you're not strong up the middle defensively, you're not strong. So we're going to have to replace them. I'm confident in the guys that are coming, but they're question marks as far as how they're going to do because those kids played varsity baseball for quite a few years. I feel good about where we are. I think we have potential to be successful at those spots that we lost, but until we get out there and play, you just don't know.
As it stands, Mother Nature, we'll see how she plays with this, but you're supposed to have 2 with Edgerton and open with Patrick Henry in just about 2 weeks. Other than having those question marks, I mean, with what you have coming back, how are you feeling going into having a doubleheader to open your season?
I actually love it because when you have question marks, you need to play to get them figured out. So the thing with that is Edgerton twice on Saturday, Patrick Henry on Monday, league with Jennings on Tuesday. So that means we're going to need a heck of a lot of pitching to get through Saturday and Monday. Obviously, Caleb will start that Tuesday against Jennings. So we're going to find out kind of how deep we are. We're going to find out a lot of things if we get a chance to play those games. So early in the year, we want to compete. Every time you step on the field, you want to win. But it's about figuring things out and who's going to put us in the best position we can to make a tournament run.
Well, I don't think Dave knows this yet, but there's a good possibility might be there doing those Edgerton games.
We got power in the press box now, so you'll be all right.
I'm excited. I always like coming over there because now that the press box has some power, it's a nice place to call a game from. I think you guys really have, except for the years that it's completely underwater, one of the better fields, and you obviously put a lot of work into it.
I don't think he knows this, but I wrote that down on my calendar. So
you
That was a
interviewing me or
compliment.
Dave?
No, Dave's interviewing himself. That was a compliment about your field.
No, and that's the thing. Any high school coach knows that they're the coach, they're the field crew, they're the concession operator, they're
The lawnmower.
They're pretty well everything. And the older I get, the tougher it is to do that. So I appreciate that compliment.
The older to throw, batting practice gets a little harder too.
Yes, that is accurate.
And hitting fly balls, I've seen maybe a little more struggles than it was in high school when you were a pretty good hitter.
You just get a better fungo. That's something I can still do. Is I can still hit a fly ball. That pitching, 10 years ago would throw from 60 feet. Now it's about 25. So
Getting older is not fun. It is kind of crazy though. I have always laughed at the thought of, coaches say, "Well, I can't hit anymore," but to get fungo bats, and I'm like, shouldn't it be kind of the opposite way, where you get one of the big red bats and just try to, have a bigger ability to hit to the outfield?
them things weigh a lot. Them regular bats.
Well, that's true.
Fungo bats are a lot lighter.
But it seems like that it's a smaller target.
I don't know why it is, but give me a fungo bat to infield all day.
Maybe you should try to bat with that. Maybe you could have DeBay pitch to you.
He would strike me out, or the fungo bat would break because it's really, really skinny.
Well, okay. Is there a guy that you could strike out on the table?
No.
No? There's a couple guys that would strike you out. I think if you had a
Maybe Hearn.
maybe me, you'd strike me out. I would look like Nate trying to play against any high school kid a couple of years ago in Legion. That just did not go well. But when you look at the league, I mean, outside of when you guys are beating up on each other, how proud does it make you, having seen a lot of the league for a lot of years too, when they go against other teams and when you're kind of, I don't want to say you guys are able to help each other, but I mean, when you see each other, you go, Matt can maybe look at you and go, okay, well, you guys didn't have this or that, and you can look at it and say, all right, now we can beat up on, the OGs or Spencervilles of the world.
Right. I think for the most part, everybody pulls for each other, especially when it comes to tournament time. Once you're defeated, it's good for the Putnam County League. It's good for the teams in the league if you have a team that does well. It just all the way down to things like all-state voting or tournament draws, or when you have teams that are in the spotlight. That must be a decent league. That's all important. So, like I said, I follow everybody here, even throughout the regular season, whether it's league, non-league, whatever it is. And outside of that night where you play each other, you want them to do well.
How long did you sit with the district game before you were able to get past it? Just kind of because it was such an odd the way the game played out.
That's a good question.
Or are you over it?
Yeah, I don't. It's a little bit different. You compete during that game, right? At every game you play, you compete. But coaching high school baseball is not about me.
But I'm saying, but I know you're the kind of guy who's into details of, hey, maybe if I'd have done this on 2-2 or we'd have done the differently, like maybe the ball bounces differently.
Yeah, I mean, Darren could say the same thing even though they won the game. They made some errors that they usually don't make to allow us to have a chance at the end.
And that was kind of the odd thing, too, and that's what I'm saying, because that game didn't play out how a typical Miller City or Lipstick game plays out.
I think the straight answer to your question is you're disappointed when you don't win a game like that. The district finals is always a goal of ours. Getting to the regional tournament, it's tough to do. And that's where we want to be. Haven't been fortunate enough to do that very often. But so that's what's disappointing about it. Am I disappointed in my kids? No, because they go out there and play hard. That's how that goes. I don't fret on that stuff very long. My hopes are the kids that are coming back use that as, that was a good experience. We want to do better. But me personally, it doesn't necessarily stick with me very long.
You look at this team this year, obviously everybody knows about Caleb Neese. Who's the guy that is maybe doing well right now with, your gym sessions and the one time you've been able to get outside that maybe people are going to be talking a little bit more about as the season goes along?
Pitching, hitting, I guess, what do you mean? Any of the above?
Kind of anybody that sticks out to you right now the way they're working hard.
Well, I mean, Tommy Wise is a senior as well. He didn't get a whole lot of credit for the season he had last year pitching, but if you look at his numbers, he had some tough luck losses, but his ERA was outstanding as well. Caleb's going to throw hard, Tommy's not, but he's going to throw strikes and finds the way to get you out. So, I mean, I obviously like him on the mound too. I've been doing this long enough to know that what I see in the gym doesn't always correlate to the field. So for me to answer that question without leaving somebody out, everybody looks good when the ball's coming in straight and you can hit it in the net. Boy, that was a hard hit, but might have been a fly out to second base. So I like our pitching, and that's important in high school baseball. After that, we got to get on the field to see.
Yeah, I mean, your top handful of pitchers, you had 4 guys who threw 10 innings or more last year that had ERAs of under 2.8. Just how frustrating is that, though, to look at and go, all right, but we went 16, we lost 10, because a couple of those times we just couldn't get bat on the ball, like you said, to get it out of the infield.
Right. You got to, especially to advance in tournament, you got to play well. You got to hit well. We did not hit in that Lipstick game until late. Once we started putting the ball into play, that's a game I think if it would have been a 9-inning game, we would have had a probably better chance as we kind of found our rhythm a little bit, but that's not how it goes. And, you know, the thing about high school baseball is the pitchers usually also hit. So, you know, they have a role in that as well. We don't blame anybody for a loss. You know, everybody has a role to play. And what I like about my pitchers is if we got beat 2-1, they're mad because they gave up 2. You know, so, I mean, from that standpoint, you go out and you do the best you can. You compete and you try to win a game.
The answer I know is every game. But do you have a game that always kind of sticks out to you, that whether it's the competitive nature of it or you just like going to the place or just kind of something about it that you look at the schedule and go, yeah, all right, I like that one?
No.
Okay.
There you go.
All right. You just don't like those long trips to Fort Jennings? No.
What?
I don't know.
I understand the question.
I don't-
but
I'm
got,
just saying
I mean,
some
what if I
guys-
say Jennings and Clyde is like, you don't want this? Or if I say Clyde
Well, no,
and
but I'm
DeBay's
saying,
staring
like-
at me like, what, you think you're just going to come kick my butt? So, you know, it's that's a coach answer. The answer is
Well,
no.
I'm just saying, for
They're
whatever
all the
reason,
same.
sometimes some guys just like, you know, going against certain coaches, and it doesn't mean anything about other coaches. It's just that one matchup for whatever reason, whether you're buddies, whether you're not. You didn't have to say why.
No.
All right, fine. That's fine. I appreciate you.
I'm not going to go there, Mike.
I mean, Chad, who do you look forward to playing?
Everybody.
All right, fine. Different versions of the same answer. I should have known that was coming.
It's baseball. That's why we coach. You can't be scared of anybody.
I should have known. I just
What
should
I'm
have
scared
known.
of is, you know, Dustin coming all pretty and, you know, he looking good like he just got out of church, and
I did.
I'm overwhelmed by that. He makes the rest of us look like we're dressed poorly.
Well, he's overwhelmed by the fact that he just came out of church.
I just assumed that it
So
was his
did
Sunday
I.
best. It's all right. Now we've reached the fashion report here at the Red Pig Inn. That's what I know we've officially done too much. I appreciate all of you. I'm going to take a break, and you'll hear from Braden Sauter when we come back here on at WZOQ Radio.
That's how I end.
Ottawa's favorite
Nope.
place for award-winning ribs and wings, including their great drink specials, is the Red Pig Inn at 1470 North Perry Street in Ottawa. Come in for their great daily lunch specials and their expanded new menu items. Stop in for Singo on Wednesdays and the WZOQ Zoo Crew Sports Talk Show. Be sure to check out their live entertainment on the weekends. Follow your favorite baseball teams and more on the big screen TVs. That's the Red Pig Inn, 1470 North Perry Street in Ottawa, 419-969-1002. Back now on our Putnam County Coaches Preview Show here at the Red Pig Inn, talking Columbus Grove baseball with the head coach of the defending champions and the Columbus Grove Bulldogs, and Braden Sauter. And full disclosure, as we record this, he's actually taking time out of watching baseball to talk baseball. Is that right?
That is correct. I'm watching the World Baseball Classic as we speak.
I think that means you're a junkie of some sort.
Yeah, you could say that.
Busy time for you guys. You've got Picture Day coming up in about a week. That means that the season is officially on the way. But now already in your third year as the head coach, you guys go 17-8 last year. I love the note in the preview of how good last season was, that the first time since 55 that you went undefeated in the league. That's got to be a heck of a start, especially with having 13 letter winners coming back for this year.
Yeah. We didn't realize that was an accomplishment that we were about to make until we were actually on the way to Fort Jennings. We weren't putting the cart before the horse. We knew we had to get the job done. We knew Fort Jennings was going to come ready to play, give us their best shot, because they knew it was an important game for us. But we were kind of just messing around on the PCL website that Kern has up, and just like Googling our records, and we're like, when's the last time this happened? Because I mean, I'm not a Grove graduate, so I don't know. My JV coach is, and he kind of told me, he's like, I have no idea. We never did it. I'm like, well, you guys had some good teams, so I wonder when the last time it happened was. So we were looking and looking and looking, and we're like, well, shoot, it hasn't happened since before the league went to 8 teams. So we go back to the section before it expanded, and we finally found the year that it happened, and it had been a while. And it was, I think the last time it had happened, I think Grove went 5-0 in the league.
That's what it says.
Yeah. So, an awesome accomplishment that the guys were able to put together last year. But obviously we were able to accomplish that, but then shortly after, we didn't accomplish the goals that we had in mind for the tournament. So our main goal this year, obviously we want to defend our crown. We always want to win a league title, but our number one goal this year is to win a district title, because our senior group is a really good group, but that's the one thing we haven't been able to accomplish. Heck, we haven't even won a sectional title with this group. So our main goal and our main sight is on the postseason this year.
I'm always fascinated with coaches who are in 2 leagues, and you guys have the NWC and the PCL. Do you put a little more, because you go 4-4 in the NWC, 7-0 the PCL? Do you put more on one or the other, or do you just kind of let it play how it comes out?
Early in the year, it's hard to prioritize one over the other because you just don't know what's going to happen. Both leagues are always really competitive, and we like to think we have a shot in either. But yeah, once we get a couple weeks in, I think last year we got 2-3 weeks in, we lost to Crestview in a 1-run ball game on a Thursday night, and we had Lincoln View coming up. So we knew that was going to be a challenge. We played that next week like we were trying to win both leagues still. Unfortunately, Lincoln View got us. And once Lincoln View got us, we were pretty confident Lincoln View was not going to win or not going to lose 2 league games. And if they did, we were pretty confident that Crestview was not going to also have 2 league losses. So at that point, you prioritize the other league. But at the beginning of the year, you try not to prioritize one over the other, because we like to think that we could win either or hopefully both with the arms that we have.
Speaking of that, looking at your 3 guys in Taylor Schrader, Brenton Renner, and Shep Hawker, they match up interestingly against the rest of the league in that you can go one way or the other, meaning if one guy maybe he doesn't have a good inning early on or 2 innings, you can go to one of the others. But you wrote this down that in the NWC, you've got Dane Ebel, Carson Hunter, Carter Ringwald, Luke Spores, and then Spores also is a part of that PCL with Jaden Smith, Carter Klausing, and Caleb Neese. I mean, that's just the start of it. You know you're going to see those guys. Were you able to learn anything about them last year that maybe can help an experienced group this year?
A little bit. It's kind of hard, especially with high school kids, because physically there's so much maturation from one year to the next. Like the 3 guys I have they're nowhere near the same guys they were last year. They played Legion ball in the summer. They've been working on developing new pitches to their arsenals all off season. So when our season starts, if people want to base how they approach our games on last year, they're probably in a little bit of trouble because our 3 guys have worked their tails off and they've developed an extra pitch or 2. They've added a mile an hour or 2 just from being in the weight room, playing that Legion ball and just getting better. So we try not to put too much on the previous year. Early in the year, it's tough because you don't have as many games to scout and go off of. But for the most part, I try to reach out to coaches and kind of base everything off of games that I can scout from the season of rather than the season before, just because there's so much turnover and maturation from one year to the next with high school kids.
Your first 10 games, you basically have 2 home games with Corey Rawson and Elida. You hit literally everywhere in the county and pretty much every other county, including going out to Salina on a Saturday. I mean, is that a big test for those guys early on, and that you're going to find out how good you are by the time you get to about game 10 against Miller City? Of you've had a handful of league games, you've got to know who you are at that point.
Yeah, we're gonna be road warriors. We're gonna be battle tested. I think week 1 on the schedule we got Arlington, who brings back everyone from last year. They finished around 500. We got Elida, who's always tough coming out of the WBL. We get Liberty Benton, who's good. I'm trying to think of who else we got early on.
You open with Arlington, then you go to
play.
PG, Elida, LB, Corey Rawson, Audubon. That's your first 8 days.
Yep. And then we go to Salina for a doubleheader with them in New Haven. So yeah, we'll find out a lot about our team. We'll find out a lot about the depth that we think we have. We'll see if we do in fact have the depth that we think we have. The young guys who are supposed to step up this year, fill some roles from guys that we lost from last year's senior class, and just guys that we need to add to our rotation. We'll see what we have with those guys moving forward, and hopefully those guys can step up so that we don't have to overuse our top 3-4 arms before we get into the home stretch of league play and into tournament play. Because we kind of ran into that last year a little bit, where we had some health issues with Renner and Schrader. And we kind of ended up having to ask Shep to do a little too much down the stretch. He did it greatly. He didn't have any struggles doing it, but obviously you don't want to put that much stress on a kid's arm if you don't have to. So
as we sit, we're a couple of days away from the start of your scrimmage season. You get Botkins, Wampanoag, Macomb, and Antwerp, teams that kind of specialize in things that are different. They bring you different challenges. As you sit a couple of days before your scrimmages and 2 weeks before the start of your season, how are you feeling about what this team can be?
I feel really good about where we're at. The last couple of years, the build up to the season was a lot of just basics, fundamentals, teaching, situations, positioning, all that kinds of stuff. And with the amount of experience we have this year, obviously we're doing all that stuff with the younger kids, but we don't have to do it as much with the varsity guys. So we're able to think back to last year, what we struggled with early on in the year situationally, some stuff that came up that we didn't prepare for before games started that we now know we need to prepare for. So we're able to focus more specifically on things of that nature instead of just focusing on the fundamentals and seeing what happens that first week of games. So I feel like we're a lot more prepared going into even our first week of scrimmages than we were going into our first week of games last year. And some of that comes with just having our basketball guys sooner and having everyone but our 2 wrestlers for the last 2 weeks.
Well, I hope that Mother Nature doesn't bother you horribly and that you guys have a heck of a year.
Yeah, you and me both.
Well, we'll see how that goes. Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, no problem. I appreciate you letting me come on.
That's Braden Sauter talking about Columbus Grove baseball. We've got more from the other coaches in Putnam County when we come back here to the Red Pig Inn in just moments on WZOQ Radio. Ottawa's favorite place for award-winning ribs and wings, including their great drink specials, is the Red Pig Inn at 1470 North Perry Street in Ottawa. Come in for their great daily lunch specials and their expanded new menu items. Stop in for Singo on Wednesdays and the WZOQ Zoo Crew Sports Talk Show. Be sure to check out their live entertainment on the weekends. Follow your favorite baseball teams and more on the big screen TVs. That's the Red Pig Inn, 1470 North Perry Street in Ottawa, 419-969-1002. That's why I didn't do it. Back here at the Red Pig Inn as we finish up, and finally Dusty gets to the nachos. I asked him if he would like anything else, and he just responded, nope. Which, if you've been with us, you know exactly what that's a reference to. But a big thank you to Braden Sutter and Darren Henry were here earlier on. Abe was here for the entire show, and then he just took off recently as well. And to Nick Watkins, Jordan just left as well. That leaves me with the I don't even know how to describe this crew, honestly. Any of you got anything else you'd like to say on the way out? Not Chad?
Nope.
Go ahead.
Just want to say thanks for doing this. And honestly, our kids in Northwest Ohio are fairly lucky, I think, with the coverage they get at this level because of guys like you. And I mean that sincerely. With Dave's help, obviously, to get the chance to just to have a day like this or the games that you guys put on, it's a really neat thing. So we appreciate what you guys do.
Don't try to be nice now.
Okay.
And I echo that. I was going to say that, but I was being the polite one and let Dusty go first. But no, we joke around a lot, Mike and Dave, but obviously, again, everything he says is 100% correct. You guys go out of your way to, to do a lot for these high school kids, and it's much appreciated, I know, by all of us and all the fans as well, so thank you.
Same thing, obviously.
And they're all holding a cue card, by the way, if you can't see it.
Absolutely.
Just says read this.
Mike, Nate, Dave, all the guys, you guys give our boys coverage and give them some due that they are lucky for, and we appreciate that. And I just want to wish all the guys in the PCL, too, good luck. We wish the boys and all the coaches all the success that they can have this spring. Why are you laughing at me?
The way that you end up like, I don't know how to get out of this. And good luck, and yeah.
No, yeah, definitely. Really appreciate what you guys do. I wish, and I'm probably speaking for these guys too. Like back when
that's a dangerous course.
Back when we played, it would be nice. It would have been nice to have this coverage.
The problem is you guys all played before the internet.
Shut up, Mike.
Nope.
Honestly, we come here just to mess with those ones.
Right? I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Let's be honest. If the weather's not nice, Mark's not out there. Come on.
Let's be honest. Just cut out the weather part, and you could probably just put that out there.
Yep. Yeah.
No, but I'm happy that we were finally able to do this. We did it once a couple of years ago, and then just the world is what it is. But
Should we ask Chad how he feels about COVID again?
We don't have time. See, this is what we're calling a closing. We don't have time. He can come back Wednesday if he'd like to be a part of the Red Pig basketball preview.
Stay tuned for the announcement of my podcast.
Right. Chad Ernsberger Talks will debut every Sunday, right before Abe's Music Hour. This is it's been cool, though. I mean, I thank you guys for all being a part of this and for coming here and for eating our food. Yep. You got anything else?
No, just thank you.
I'm just trying to make you speechless. That's all I'm trying to do. That's what we've got. Don't forget Wednesday. We've got what time is that show? 6 o'clock here at the Red Pig Inn. We'll talk about Ottawa Gladorf and their basketball tournament.
Are you going to be here?
No, and on their run. Nope. Hey, tell him if I'm going to be here.
Nope.
See?
So you're going to call in?
Maybe. I'll probably call in and talk. Otherwise, I will not be here. But we've got OG basketball next Saturday at 10:45. Hopefully the finals on Sunday as well. And high school baseball just hopefully a couple of weeks away. Stay away, Mother Nature. And that's what we've got. Make sure to tune over to Z Sports 3 now as we have the Northwest Conference coaches. I would imagine Darren's probably about there over at B-Dubs. And overall, I would say this went well. Everyone's nodding because I cut their microphones off. We should try to do it again next year. Not next week. I cannot handle 2 weeks in a row of this. Next week is the state finals. That's what we've got. Have a great afternoon from all of us here at the Red Pig Inn at WZOQ Radio.
You've been listening to WZOQ Radio. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at ZSportsLive for the best high school sports coverage in Northwest Ohio.